Hello, Golf Achievers. I thought I would do this in person, but I think this may end up working best if I do it in a video and I can send it to everybody at once. And then these will be posted on my YouTube page. And then you'll also receive this through, obviously, you're probably opening this up now in the Coach Now app. So thanks for using that. But this is going to be a little series on the psychology of tournament golf. And one of my mentors and friends, Dr. David Cook, who wrote the book 7 Days in Utopia, wrote this as I think the third part of a trilogy, and there'll probably be more from the lessons from Utopia. But let me run through this here. I'm going to probably talk about the first 2 or 3 chapters here today, and give you some homework assignments as well. So the main question comes down to, what does game day look like? So this is one of my old stomping grounds, or Congressional Country Club number 10. You can see on the left, that's what a normal day looks like. And then Rory McIlroy, when he hit his 10th tee shot, I think he hit it about 6 feet here, maybe 4 feet, during the U.S. Open, or the last day of the U.S. Open when it was played there a few years ago. So those conditions are not normal, but that's what game day looks like, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about how to develop your mental skills and your physical skills in order to play your best. So again, the purpose behind these is to play your best when it matters most. So I think we all are training for a personal major, whether that's playing or qualifying for a state tournament, making your high school team, you've got a club championship that you want to play in, you're trying to play in some local amateur events, or kind of work your way up the ladder, whatever it is. These are some of the principles that I think will help you perform your best when it matters most. So first, get clear on what game day needs to look like when you need to play your best, and then develop a process of hitting shots and what you think about before, during, and after, what I often call a scoring mindset. And then develop confidence by knowing what to do, and then how to handle the 3 challenges that impact your score the most. So every round has probably 3 critical areas, if you're playing tournament golf, that are going to impact your score or inflate your score or keep you around par, and those decisions will be what dictates your score. Talk about that probably in a later video. But then the accountability and posting a score for the world to see after your name. Now, golf is kind of a weird sport like that. You can, there's some other sports like swimming that you might see your name, but golf, win, lose, draw, good or bad, you're gonna, the whole course is gonna see what you're posting on your performance behind your name, and that's a little unique to golf, but again, that's just part of the deal. So, and then I believe that you do have the ability to play extraordinary golf, not just good golf, but extraordinary golf, and I want to bring that out in each of my tournament golfers. So some of the keys to playing tournament golf, it really comes down to 3, and that's rhythm, balance, and patience. Okay, so rhythm is finding a repeatable rhythm that you can repeat. Usually it's about 85% of your total effort. Last night we actually worked on a drill or a little 4-hole sequence and just focused on rhythm and kind of played around with it from 70% to 80% to 90% to 100%. And just having a rhythm focused, I think just about everybody played better. And then they found their natural rhythm too. So I think I always talk about the redlining effect of, when you start hitting it a little too hard, you're in that danger zone. For all of you drivers out there, you know what I mean by the red line. So find your natural rhythm and stick to it. Balance, I think every good swing finishes in balance, or starts in balance, ends in balance, and we're starting to see that and be able to predict that more clearly with the use of body track, and both in short game and full swing. Patience is knowing that your training will pay off, and knowing that you will earn a reward, I guess you could say, by your training, and it may come in the form of a trophy. It may come in the form of developing relationships or lifelong friends. There's lots of other things that can help you enjoy the game. So in order to do that, you need to be able to envision a masterpiece for every stroke you take. If you don't have a clear picture before you hit the shot, that's going to be kind of number one in playing. I think that kind of comes back to patience. And then, like a good pilot, you need to anticipate emergencies. We'll talk a little bit about that here this morning. So scripting is, rehearsing your round in your mind's eye before your feet hit the floor in the morning. And that may include your range warm-up, what you're going to do, playing the first 3 holes and the last 3 holes, and then having an intentional mindset or attitude over the things that you have control over. So when you're warming up, there's a big difference between warm-up and practice. I just want to touch on that here just for a minute. And so a warm-up is taking what you already have on game day and finding your rhythm, balance, and patience. Okay? You hit the first 2 shots on the first hole before you go out and play. I think that's a good habit, or at least hitting that opening tee shot. And that will leave you, or help you leave the range ready to attack, not just react. Okay. When you're putting, big proponent of just rolling some putts from 10, 20, 2 or 3 balls from 10, 20, 30, 40 feet. If the greens are big, like if you're playing Bunker Hills or Windsong Farms, and you have some big greens, you might want to hit some 50 and 60 footers. You'll probably get a few of those. If you go to a place like Elk River Country Club, you don't have to worry about hitting anything more than 30 feet because those greens are postage stamps. And if you've played there, you know what I mean. So same focus on chipping and pitching, just trying to get touch. So whether I like doing 10, 15, and 20 yards, if I got room, depending on the practice facility, I like hitting some 30-yard shots too, just to get some feel with trajectory and distance control. Again, practice, or probably my preferred word there is training, is working and honing a skill. And then this came from one of my buddies. All I think about in putting is putting the ball in the general vicinity of the hole with the right speed, and sometimes they fall in. Distance is everything. Another one of the great stories that Dr. Cook talks about is when he was young, impressionable teenager, he got to play with his coach and teacher at the time, who shot 61 at a Pro-Am in Texas, and after each shot he would say Picasso, and you probably have heard me say that too every once in a while. And then so shot after shot, so after about 15 holes he turned to his coach and said, "Hey Johnny, what do you mean Picasso?" Because he was young, he didn't know who Picasso was, but Picasso was the guy on the left, he's the abstract artist, right? And he'd say Picasso when every time he created his masterpiece, he would have to sign his name Picasso on the photo. So when I hit the shot that I envisioned, I would kind of sign my shot with Picasso. So that was his way of reinforcing and imagining the shot before he actually played it. And then he went on to tell him, David, you need to be able to see the target clearly, the shape of your shot, whether they're playing in Texas, so it's windy, so the ball's going to curve even if you do hit it straight, or if you can draw and fade it into the wind accordingly, and then the trajectory, or how high that shot was. And that was his 3 keys to visualization: is target, shape, trajectory. Okay, if you've done playing lessons with me, you probably heard that from me a couple times, but this is a little bit where I get that from, and frankly it works. So one of his other keys, and he'll even write it on the golf ball of a lot of his players, and you can kind of see the signs of some of his players that they do write SFT, or see it, feel it, trust it. So can you see the shot? Can you feel it either in a rehearsal stroke or an imagined stroke? And you walk up and trust the shot. Again, you want to envision and rehearse the 20 minutes before the trophy presentation. Okay, so that trophy presentation, that's going to be the time in the cauldron. So the cauldron's over there on the right, a big pot, right? So we all have refining moments, and what you can expect the 20 minutes before the trophy presentation is probably going to dictate your performance. And you have the self-belief and confidence that you are prepared to go through the cauldron? Have you been refined? So tournament days are full of interference, and some of the things that we'll probably talk a little bit more about this later in the week. But the challenging hole, I've always struggled with little dogleg lefts. So if I see, oh gosh, let's see, there's a hole at Edina Country Club that is a severe dogleg left. It's drivable if you hit a draw. I hit a fade, so I typically like to lay up on that hole. I've just kind of learned to take my medicine. You might have a playing partner. If you're in high school, you might have a playing partner that you have a challenge playing with, and it's almost inevitable. If there's a guy that gets under your skin, guess who you're going to get paired with at the region tournament in order to qualify for state. Okay, so wind changes, like in the middle of your backswing, feel wind change, and those are interference. That can happen in a regular round, but if it happens in a tournament round, what are you going to do? Okay, weather, wind, rain, sleet. You guys get to play in all kinds of crazy stuff in the spring. What are you going to do when the crowds are walking around? Like the first time that your parents come and watch you play golf, I'll never forget. I was sitting on the edge of the hole on my 18th hole my senior year in high school. That was the first time that he ever saw me play a hole of tournament golf. And I hit it in the water twice, and I don't know what I made. I think I made 8 on the hole and missed qualifying for the state tournament by a stroke. And I was totally dejected, but things happen for a reason, I guess. And he did not comfort me, by the way. He was more embarrassed than I was. But that's another story for another time. What are you going to do with the outside noises and distractions? Tiger makes it look easy when he can just stop and pull the trigger, stop in the middle of his downswing, but that is not a normal thing to be able to do. And how are you going to handle that? Scoreboard watching, if you're playing in some bigger tournaments, how are you handling, if you see yourself on the top of the scoreboard, does your internal compass say, that's where I should be? Or, oh my gosh, I'm in the lead, what am I going to do? And I'll start racing forward. So talk a little bit more about that as we go along in this series. Again, I want to reiterate, physical talent isn't enough. You can't simply hit enough balls to win a tournament. We can all dream of having the flexibility and strength of Dustin Johnson over there on the right. You can get in that position at the top of your backswing. That's amazing. But your practice or training, again, needs to have a purpose and needs to be challenging. And I think if you've been coming to the winter series practices, they get a little bit, this time of year, February and March, they get a little bit more demanding and challenging, and encourage you to come out for some sessions. A couple more things on the envisioning side. Need to see yourself holding that trophy at the end, and you have the audacity to believe in victory. But at the same time, there's only one winner in golf, and sometimes you play poorly the first day, you've got a second day, and you just need to go out and try to, finish in the top 20, maybe the top 10, top 5, or whatever it is, and just have that goal, kind of the mini trophies, if you will. You might not win the tournament trophy, but you can win your personal gold trophy for that day. So the trophy becomes a metaphor for playing for something high and great on game day. Okay. One of my favorite words is volition, or the will to choose. On the spectrum of I won't, I can't, I'd like to, I'll try, I can, and I will. Those are, I guess, where we want you talking. I will do this, I will do that. Not I won't, I can't, I'd like to. Okay, so the words that you choose, and there's a little list on the right. That will matter in your performance and in your training. So choose your words wisely. So again, this comes from a series. Here's some resources if you are interested in the book. Again, we are going through the psychology of tournament golf, and they can be found at the links of Utopia. I'm sure you can find them on Amazon as well. Thanks, and you'll see another version next week.